Hi, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, great. So, hello and a warm welcome to everyone joining us today. I'm Shivangi, your host for this exciting journey, and I'm truly glad to kick off this brand new series with all of you. Looking back at our incredible journey with 24 in 2024, we had the privilege of featuring 24 top corporate leaders who shared their experiences, guide students, and help them navigate the path to successful careers. The response was overwhelming, and your enthusiasm showed us that the hunger for knowledge and real world insights is stronger than ever. So, we asked ourselves, what next? How can we make this even bigger and even more impactful? That's how 25 in 2025 was born. So, this year, we are bringing 25 extraordinary entrepreneurs, visionaries who have made their mark on Shark Tank India. They have built businesses from the ground, faced challenges, taken bold risks, and turned their dreams into reality. And today, they are here to share their journeys with all of you. But this is more than just a success story series. These entrepreneurs will also talk about internships and job opportunities in their companies because we don't just want to inspire, we want to open doors for you to step into the corporate world with confidence. So, this initiative is proudly presented to you by Whiteboard Education and Research Foundation, where we are dedicated to bridging the gap between corporate and academia. We are helping students like you to connect with real world opportunities and industry leaders who can guide your path. And now, to kick off this exciting series, I'm honored to introduce our very first guest, Mr. Sukkrit Goel, co founder of Cannazo India. His company is transforming the wellness industry with cannabis based health products that is transforming the market. You may have seen him making a big impact on Shark Tank India Season 3. Today, he's here to share his journey, his challenges, his triumphs, and the lessons he has learned along the way. So sit back, stay engaged, and get ready for an inspiring session packed with insights and opportunities. Let's dive in. Hello, Sukrit, and a very
Hi.
warm welcome to 25 in 2025, the Change Makers of India Series 2.0. We are very excited to welcome you as our very first guest. Your journey with Canazo India and your appearance on Shark Tank India Season 3 have inspired many. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
So let's start with your journey. What inspired you to start Canazo India and how did you enter the cannabis based wellness industry?
So see, when you talk about me entering into the wellness industry, so basically 2016, like basically 2016 was a time where a lot of wellness brands were coming up, and that was a very good opportunity which I saw because after the digitization started, online started because before 2015, moreover, everything was about having a whole network, a distributor. If you did not have a right distributor, your products would not reach the market. As Amazon opened, as e-commerce opened, it was a very good market to actually reach out to different people, and a lot of white labeling also started. Initially, there was no white labeling which was there. You make it, you sell it. That is exactly how it used to be in the market before. 2016 I saw as a good opportunity to start, but there were brands who were already doing a lot of different stuff, and many were doing just like the same things. You would have seen apple cider vinegar, for example, apple cider tablets which are going on. Everything was the same. So I wanted to have something which is different, something which is monopolistic. Because see, one thing which is there for sure, whenever a business is started, if you have something which is monopolistic plus something which a person has a recurring revenue of, it always works very well. Like as I said on Shark Tank also, we had 70% of the people, the same people who reorder. Now when you go for any other thing like cosmetics or something, today a person will take something, next month maybe he'll try something new. But in medicines, that is not the case. So cannabis was something that I was like, okay, fine. One point it has ticked. Second, again, not a lot of competition. Second checkbox ticked. Third checkbox, which is again very important, was basically, is it actually giving the benefits? Studying about this, researching about this, along with that, using it on myself itself, I realized, okay, fine, it is giving benefits. Third point also was tick. So you're basically the four P's when you talk about the product. Done. Price a bit higher, but again, that's why I went into manufacturing. So the price also can be got down. So price is also tick. So basically, when all the factors were tick, I was like, cannabis would be a very good opportunity to start. There were, I guess, two or three brands, and people were facing quality concerns. The me being from a manufacturing and a pharma background, it was much easier for me to start manufacturing for other companies. So I started with manufacturing for other companies. Some pharmaceuticals also now we are manufacturing for. That is where you actually get to know what are the products which are working in the market, rather than testing 100 SKUs under your own brand and facing a loss. It's better that let you manufacture for others. So you get to know, okay, fine, which are the products which are working. Once I got a good idea of the products which are working, I did that for around 4 to 5 years. I realized what are the market uh, products which are actually needed by the market. That is where I actually went starting my own brand by the name of CannazoIndia, which I started 2 years back, and in 2 years it directly went a boom because it actually had only those products which was required by the market, rather than just launching a range of 30, 40 products, because then there's a lot of dead SKUs also which happens. So that's how exactly Canazo began, and then I took my wife now as my co-founder because she was a biomedical, so helped us to actually get a tie-up with CDRS, Central Drug Research Institute of India, because that is something which is the most important thing. There has to be a constant R&D in your company. Only then people actually trust your company, and you are always separate, because in the changing times, every 5 months, some new product comes or a refined version of the same product comes, and people tend to shift. Now, if you don't want the people to shift, every 5 months you have to keep on improving that product, for which R&D is very important. And this is how exactly how my journey of Canazo began, saw how it's helping people, how cancer patients are being helped with it, and then just after that there was no looking back.
Well, that's really fascinating, you know. Identifying an opportunity in such a unique sector must be a game changer for you. So, Sukhrit, as we know, Canazo India is working in a niche and emerging sector. So, what are the biggest challenges that you have faced while setting up the business, especially in India, where there is so much, you know, government regulation on such drugs and, you know, medical products?
See, the challenges. So I'll come to the three major challenges. First is education. More than government, the main challenge is education because it's a niche. So you're making a niche a mainstream market is something which is very important, because when 20 or 30 companies are doing the same thing, okay, it is a competition, but it's a healthy competition because 30 people are creating a awareness about the same product. So doctors know about it, and even the people know about it. So like for example, ashwagandha, everyone knows about it. But now cannabis is something which not a lot of people know. So first and the foremost thing is basically educating the people that okay, fine, it does have these good benefits, and breaking the taboo that okay, it is not used only for high purposes. There is a lot of good advantage and potential to it, for which you have to do some studies for people to believe. Number one. Coming to the government side, honestly, I would say, see, in India, everyone knows, I mean, India, it's not that easy to deal with the government. But frankly, it took me around 2.5 years to actually do the whole process, because it's not that if you already know the chain, after that it's easy. The major problem is finding the right connect points, that whom do you actually have to meet it in the government. For example, and you have to meet the excise department, but who is the person, who is the authority taking power? That is where the challenge comes. What are the licenses which are actually required to safeguard yourself? Because now tomorrow narcotics comes to me and say, okay, fine, how are you selling it? You need to have that license. So first and foremost, seeing what is the thing to safeguard. Even for any person who's starting any company or any other manufacturing or even product, the first thing comes is the licenses. And for licenses, the most important thing is in the government knowing the key people who are gonna do this, because there are more than 100 people in excise, 100 people in Ayush, 100 people in Fasai. But who is the person who is actually beneficial and who has the authority to take the power and the decision for that? That is what is the most important thing, which took me like good 2.5 years to identify, talk to them, tell them, okay, fine, this is not something which is illegal. This is something which is rather gonna benefit, and that is how we actually started, and we got it legalized. We went into manufacturing, then we had to show the full factory and everything. So it was a long process, at least 2.5 years. That is the main challenge which I faced, and educating the customers. But the best part is now a lot of people are already educated about cannabis, and a lot of people come like samne say, okay, fine, we want to use cannabis for this issue. So I feel at least what the scenario was 5 years back and now is changed. I mean, when I started, I used to manufacture for 3 companies. Today, I'm manufacturing for around 23 startups. 3 to 4 are pharmaceutical, but 23 companies are only startups who've just ventured into cannabis just in the last 2 years.
Hmm. Okay. That sounds like a tough road. But yeah, breaking barriers is what makes, entrepreneurs stand out. So yeah, Sukrit, your appearance on Shark Tank India was, I'm sure it was a big moment for you. So can you share how your experience shaped your business and how has been the journey so far after the appearance?
See, the day we appeared on Shark Tank, honestly, that day, though, our website crashed. Like, I mean, we appeared at somewhere around 10, like as far 10:50 or 10:48 was where because I was at the third pitch. My pitch was the third pitch, which aired, and 11:05, my website was already like gone. I literally had to boost, and still it crashed after 5 minutes. Then it went back to normal. We got around 2,500 orders in that instant 10 minutes. So that is one major thing that yes, Shark Tank does give you a very good boost because a lot of people are watching. I mean, getting 2,500 orders in just a span of 10 minutes is not something which I had honestly expected. But since Shark Tank, there are two things. One, it gives you a lot of credibility. People know that what you're doing is legal stuff and not something like that taboo that you're just selling it for the sake of selling. Number one. Number two, after credibility, I have seen a good into 4 into 5 times growth year on year after like Shark Tank has been a year, and I've already grown like month by month. If I was doing a revenue of X, I am right now doing it of on a multiple of 4x. So that is something which Shark Tank does give you a very good boost. But the only important thing is that your product quality has to remain the same, because once they will purchase because of Shark Tank, the second time if they don't like it, they will not come back to you. So that is something which is very important. So we could deliver that touchwood. So we do have those recurring customers yet.
Wow, that's really, really nice experience to hear on. So, Sukrit, what were some of the most valuable lessons that you have, learned from there? I mean, from the sharks that have helped your business to grow more.
See, I'll be very honest. I don't think so I've learned anything from them. Very frankly, because if anyone would have seen my pitch, for them itself, it was like the first thing what Anupam was like, ki, it is grass. And I was like, listen, it is not grass, it is cannabis. I mean, if people are just, they themselves are smoking up, doesn't mean that it's a grass. You need to know the medical aspects of it. And honestly, we had to present a lot of research papers because, as shown on the episode also, they were like, we are seeing a lot of tall claims, but it was very important
Hmm.
for us to actually showcase them the benefits, and we had the trials which we actually had to showcase for them to understand that yes, it is not what we are claiming, that it's not fake and it's actually happening. And that is where Anupam had said, because the pitch was at least a 2.5 hour long pitch. Around 15 minutes was shown, but the pitch was 2.5 hour long, and that is why that meme which went very viral when he says that aap hame khareed lo, that became so viral because of this season only, because when he saw so many benefits, he himself from that he came to this कि अगर इतने benefits है तो आप हमें क्यों नहीं खरीद लेते. And we were like,
Yes.
that is what our aim is. The only thing is we are just on the way for people to know what the benefits are. Once everyone realizes the benefits, very possible in a year I would be sitting next to you. So yeah, I mean, that is one thing. But one thing which you understand from sharks is basically I never did a lot of EBITDA calculations and everything before I actually went to Shark Tank. Being a finance student, I knew a base idea about this. But because in Shark Tank I knew they would ask, I actually went into depth of my business to see, okay, fine, where I'm getting my profit from, what is the revenue share, what is from the online, what is from the offline, what is basically are my ads working. which places my ads are working, which cities my ads are working. So these are all things which I actually saw because I had to go on Shark Tank. Maybe otherwise I wouldn't have done. And I feel that is something which is very important. Now when I'm there, I realize that it's very important for a person to know when you're doing a business where you are actually generating the most amount of profit from, rather than just going into, you know, 5 6 different directions, that where to focus and which hero product to focus upon.
Right, right. So it was a great learning experience for you.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Sukrit, as we know, many startups, face rejection before, finding success. So, did you face any such setbacks while building, Canazo India, and how did you overcome from it?
See, while building Canazo, I did not, but before that, yes, I had actually, I was in the same thing that maybe cannabis, will I get a license or no? So I always had a thing to
Mhm.
start cannabis, but 1.5 years before starting Canazo, I worked for 1.5 years in different, trying to do different startups. I first thought, okay, hydroponics is a good option. Went ahead with hydroponics a bit, made a whole model also, 3D model, everything. I realized there's no revenue or recurring thing, put that aside. Then I went into this thing, plant-based meat, because that time alternative meat and everything had become very famous. And that was the time where Imagine Meats was also launched. I was like, okay, fine, maybe people would love it. But then when I did a market study, I launched it also, tried with some few people. I realized, okay, again, it is not the market for India. Maybe a plant-based meat, who has meat will have meat, who has veg. So it did not work out for me. So 1.5 years, I did two, three different things. That is where I actually was like, okay, fine, let's start with my initial idea, however long time it takes. Let me try that only. And that is how I basically got into Canazo. And then Canazo had a success because doing 1.5 years of these other businesses actually helped me to understand that before launching a product, it is very important that your people, you should already know that are the people liking it or no. Because I did make losses when I launched these two products and it not work. That is the only reason this time, instead of doing the thing I just launched a product, I went into manufacturing first, understood which are the products which people actually want, and then I launched those products. So that is how it actually helped me a lot to know what has to be launched, what doesn't has to be launched, which gave a very big boost to me.
That's really inspiring, I must say. Yeah. So, Sukrit, as we know, cannabis-based, wellness products are still relatively very much new concept in India. So, how do you educate your customers and, build trust in this industry?
See, it's only not about me. Moreover, also, if you see, there are three things or two to three factors which you always have to do for people to actually build trust. Number one, we always try to present with a report. So each and every product that we are having, we have a trial for that. So I would not say it's a full-fledged trial, but yeah, we do on a 30 35 people taking uh, basically from the trial committee, you have to ethical committee, you have to take an approval. After doing that, you can easily try on 30 35 people. Along with that, you have a cell line culture, which we have done for every product. So now doing a cell line culture, what happens, you know, okay, fine, it will be working for this disease. Number one. Number two, there are already international documented results which are there. So we make products based on those international documented results. So people already know, okay, fine, this is something which is published, has been tried on 1,000 people before we are actually trying. Number three, client testimonials. That is again very important. Obviously, if like the ads also which we are having, we do cover the face, like the eyes, because I mean we have to protect the identity of the person who's purchased the product with us. But whoever signs up with it, we do tell them, okay, fine, if it's okay for you, we can just take your testimonial. So client testimonials again becomes very important. But with client testimonials, it's very important to showcase that yes, they have actually paid the consultation, they have actually purchased the product. Because these days client testimonials are also becoming fake. I mean, you know, anyone can just take a family member and say for a client testimonial. So it's very important that when you're showing a client testimonial also, you should have his report proper before after purchase bills and everything. That is what we focus on. That helps a person to actually believe, okay, they have bought the product and we are not just faking it around. So yeah, these are two to three things. Fourth would be again when a medical person speaks rather than an influencer, because these days a lot of setback is there if an influencer is speaking, because influence, unless and until it's a medical influencer. So one thing which I
Hmm.
realized is more of a medical influencer speaks, and rather than talking about the product of the company, they on a general we are trying to educate the people. So it's not biased to my company. On a general, they are just getting educated about cannabis. So person is also not key. Okay, fine, we have to take only Canazo and they are promoting Canazo. So we don't do that. It's a non-biased thing that they promote. But now when here how we make sales is once it's been promoted, the major opportunity, because what comes to us is price value, because we are manufacturers, quality wise and everything what is needed, all that is available on our website. So if not 100%, at least 70% come to our website to purchase. So that is exactly how you can actually build the trust in consumers rather than just promoting your brand. Just promote it on a generic basis initially. That's the strategy which we are following.
That's really important, I must say that. So, since Sukrit, we know cannabis is a highly regulated, what I should say, product. So, what
Correct.
role does government, regulation play in your industry, and how do you navigate your legal and compliance challenges for the sector?
So see, it starts from the very beginning. So number one, when we have to pick up the cannabis is not something which. So cannabis again, it has two parts. One is the seed, which is the
Yes.
nutraceutical product, and one is the thing which actually gives the psychoactive compound, which is THC, CBD. CBD is the not non-psychoactive, and THC is the psychoactive, which is found in the leaves and the bud. So basically, when we have to pick up the plant material, which is for the medical use, we have to take it from the government itself. So we have to take it from the excise department. And for growing also, not the leaves and that part, but the seed part, which is nutraceutical part, which doesn't have a high, for growing that also, which is known as industrial hemp, we have to take a license from the excise department itself. Once that comes, you have to get each and every product approved with the Ayush department of India. So once those products are approved, so from excise you get the raw material, from Ayush, you tell them the formulation, get the product approved. For that, you have to give a proper NABL accredited report.
Mhm.
That report is there. Once all these three things are there in frame, then you need to have a free sale license, which allows you to sell it domestically. Once that is there with you in hand, you take a marketing license and then you can start marketing everywhere. And you have to maintain a proper file of prescriptions with you. So external products don't require a prescription, but whenever we are talking about anything which is oral consumption of cannabis, requires a prescription. So for that, we maintain a proper file, so that if any time there is any check, we do have a file to showcase the government that whatever is being given is given on a proper RMP, the registered medical practitioner's notice.
Okay, well, that must be a challenging process, I must say.
It is indeed.
So, yeah. So yeah, Sukrit, with growing, awareness about, wellness and alternative medicine, where do you see the future of cannabis-based healthcare industry in India?
See, with the alternative therapy that are coming, honestly, cannabis would have a very good boom internationally. It's already had a boom. I mean, it's a more than $100 billion market internationally. India also is not far behind, because in the past 5 years that I've seen, I mean, if it was a 50 crore market, right now it's more than already a 300, 400 crores market, with pharma companies also coming into it. So it is a very big market now. And alternative therapies, why it again works is because cannabis as a standalone also works very well. And when you incorporate it with different herbs, for example, like we've launched a Slim Fit. Now, Slim Fit is basically berberine extract with apple cider vinegar, which is already very famous for your weight loss. Along with that, we've added CBD. So, what CBD does is it enhances the process. So, it's not necessarily that every time it has to be pure CBD based. Sometimes it becomes a very good additive also, which is enhancing the overall products which are there in the market. So that is number one thing why it works very well, because all the products which are there in the market, 70% of them, if you add CBD to it, it enhances. Now, the reason you would ask, ki, how can I say that your body, just to understand a normal thing, your body has an endocannabinoid system. And now we can say that the endocannabinoid system ka jo food hai, that is CBD. So now your endocannabinoid system everyone has, and the food is CBD. So more CBD you give to the body, your body ages less and ages slower rather than aging very fast. So, and that is something which everyone is focusing upon now. Longevity. What is longevity? It is basically being free from the diseases and everything, so able to live a good, healthy life. So we are basically regulating the endocannabinoid system, which is already there in your system. So this is why I think it has a very, very good future, because standalone also can be used along with other things also. And there's no, I mean, any disease you name and you actually go to study about will cannabis help, there are already papers. You start from cancer to depression to a very normal thing like sleep, to a very normal pain, or even period cramps for a matter. If you say of a woman, or you talk about joint pain, muscle pain, there's nothing which cannabis doesn't help in actually. Parkinson's also. As I mean, there's no limit to what it can actually help for.
Right, right. The industry has really great potential, which is untapped as of now.
So yeah.
So yeah, so Sukrit, at Whiteboard Foundation, we are focusing, on bridging the gap between students and the corporate world. So does Canazo India offer any internship or job opportunities for the young professionals?
We do. So we do, and basically one is the factory side which we do. So we have a factory also, and we have obviously with the admin office, also the marketing office. So we already offer. So when we talk about the factory side, there is majorly we offer is in biomedical, or we talk about chemist, or we talk about this inventory management if someone wants to learn, or the supply chain management. That is the factory side, but that is not in Bombay, that is in Madhya Pradesh, which is near Indore, 1 hour from Indore. And second, which is in Bombay, which is at Fort My office. There what we offer is basically we talk about business development, or if a person is very willing to connect with the doctors, we are CRM is again something which you're offering. If someone is into accounting, that is again which you're offering. Inventory management, purchase management. So these are some few opportunities which we are already offering. Or we talk about design management, like right now only Monday we are hiring two more. We already had one designer, now two more designers are coming on board. One is on internship and one is on a internship, and after internship the probation period gets over, she'll come on a job basis. So yeah.
Okay, so there is opportunity. That's nice. So, so great for those students, who are aspiring to work in innovative industries like, yours. What are the key skills or knowledge which they should develop?
See, any startup, if you go to see, there are two. For one thing which everyone needs to know is they have to be go-getter, because some, like I
Hmm.
have personally worked at Disney also. So I have worked at Disney, and I have worked at a multiple corporates also, and I have worked at multiple startups also. Working both, I realized the major difference what comes is when you're working in Disney or some big corporate, you are doing one thing and you're just basically just that one thing you will keep on doing for the whole day. Even if your work is done, it's finished, you go back home, it's okay. Or else if you're in finance, like I worked in PwC and all, there if you do, then you're doing the same thing the whole day. But when you talk about a startup, what happens is, for example, you have been taken for finance, so that would be 70% of your criteria, but 30% you have to be a go-getter, where maybe you are helping the team with sometime a marketing strategy, or sometimes just with operations. That is something which always happens in a startup. There is not key 100% work will be defined, 70% is there, 30% you always tend to have a new skill set which will be built alongside when you are working. So that is number one, that it has to be go-getter. Second, should be open to learn to new things, and not very key, okay, I only have to do these four things and I'm not really keen on doing anything more than that. That is something which doesn't actually work in startups. You always have to be very open to learn new things.
I totally agree, completely agree. Really valuable advice. So, as we know, entrepreneurship is an, exciting but a very challenging path. So, what advice would you like to give to students, who are dreaming to start their own ventures?
See, what I would say is it's not that tough. Anyone should try for that entrepreneurship, and at times people think, okay, fine, maybe a 5 lakh or 10 lakh is nothing, or 20 lakhs is nothing. You need a very good amount to start. That is something which I've always seen. People who've come to me and be like, how is it possible? I'll be very frank. When I started cannabis industry, the whole industry, I have my own manufacturing facility also now. I started with an investment of 10 lakhs. That's it. 10 lakhs. I had my factory and everything. I started with a rented factory. Now I have my own factory, but I only started with an investment of 10 lakhs. So they should never make fund a criteria, because that is something which I've seen a lot these days. Not diluting in the seed round itself. I have not diluted yet. So now I have a very good valuation when I actually go forward with an angel investor, or I go with venture capitalist. It's a very good investment. But now what happens? Half of the people dilute at the seed round itself. So half of your, the thing to actually, the willingness to do the business goes off, because when you do it on a seed round or an angel round, they will directly ask for 25%, 30%. So later on, you don't actually have any equity left to give it to the people. So that is something which is very important for people who are starting. Second, target those areas which are not a lot already populated. Like a lot of people are getting into cosmetics, because doing contract manufacturing from cosmetics is very easy. But one thing what they need to understand also is it's very tough. It's a very competitive market now. So not to get into a market which is already clustered, but try to get into a market which is not very clustered. And third major thing would be not to go for a volume market unless and until you have very deep pockets. Go for a market which is high price, high margin market, because what happens is, in that sense, even if you're selling a product which is worth 2000, and for example 400 you're making for, so even if it is 2000 and you're selling maybe 1,000 units, you have around 20 lakhs, just an example, or 2 lakhs or, 10, or 20 lakhs approximately, so you can bear the expenses. Same thing now if you're doing ashwagandha or something which is a volume market, you're selling for 200 rupees, and again the margins is the same. It's made for 40 rupees, margin wise it's same. But when you actually go to sell 1,000 pieces of that, you actually have nothing in your hand. You have only 2 lakh rupees. So how will you pay your expenses? So one thing which I feel is, unless until you have deep pockets or a very big distribution network channel, it's very important that start with high margin items with a high MRP items, rather than starting with a very big volume items.
That's very powerful message and advice, I must say. So, Sukrit, if you could go back and give, one piece of advice to your younger self when you were, starting out, what would it be?
It would be rather that I shouldn't have wasted the money that I wasted on my other two startups, and listened, and rather would have worked for 1.5 years to understand in different industries what is the best thing or the best thing which you can get into, and then got into, because I never wanted to do a job. So I just left all the jobs, in like in two months I've actually just done a job for maybe 4.5 months, and that's it. 1 month, 1 month, 1 month, and I was done. I was now to do business, and that is why I wasted around 8-10 lakh rupees. So yeah, I mean that is one thing which I could have saved and done, like much better, if I would have rather worked 1.5 years to actually understand what is the market. Because you know what happens once you're working with the industry which you want to get into, you already have a good connection and a good network. So when you start, it gets very easy for you. But when you are
Hmm.
actually starting from scratch and you have no idea, it takes time. So for me also, it did take time. Maybe what I did in 4 years, I could have achieved in 2 years if I would have worked in the same industry in which I was actually looking to start some business of mine. So I would
That's
rather want
very
to do that.
relatable. I must say that is really relatable to many of the founders and the co-founders. Everyone faces doubts, but yeah, persistency pays off ultimately.
Yeah.
So yeah, lastly, Sukrit, what's next for Canazo India? Are there any exciting upcoming, projects or expansions that you would like to share
Yeah,
with
so
us
now
today?
we are expanding up to Thailand. We are already expanding. We are already in terms with UAE. So these two places is something which are right now focusing upon. So maybe in a month or 2 months, we would be already being starting with that, with the cannabis products. Along with that, now we are increasing our portfolio also, for which we were actually hiring interns as well as full-time positions, where now 60%, for example, if we are doing cannabis, 40% we are focusing on nutraceuticals also, which helps alongside. So there are a lot of medicines which is given along with cannabis. For example,
Hmm.
vitamin C. So now again, vitamin C, a plant-based vitamin C which we are looking for. Or we talk about dry ginger, black ginger powder. It's something which is used for testosterone boosting. So basically, plant-based solutions which are non-prescription. So now we are launching a range of non-prescription products which would be coming on all the quick commerce as well as the e-commerce platforms.
Well, that sounds incredible. Wishing you all the very best and success in your upcoming ventures. So, yeah, thank you so much, Sukkrit, for sharing your incredible journey and valuable insights with us today. Your story is truly inspiring, and I'm sure our audience must have learned a lot today.
Thank you.
And to everyone watching, stay tuned for more inspiring conversations in 25 and 2025. We will be bringing you more Shark Tank entrepreneurs, more success stories, and more career opportunities. See you in the next session. Thank you. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
everyone.